17 years ago, the InGen Corporation operated a top-secret dinosaur research facility on Isle St. Hubert in the Atlantic Ocean. The lab was dedicated to advanced genetic experiments, including the creation of transgenic and mutated dinosaur species. Williams, one of the company's employees, rushes into a containment area during an emergency. Distracted, he accidentally drops the wrapper from a chocolate snack he had eaten. The wrapper slips into the door's ventilation system, jamming the mechanism and triggering a critical containment failure alarm. As sirens blare, scientists scramble to evacuate before the facility goes into lockdown. Williams, however, becomes trapped behind the jammed door. A fellow scientist attempts to free him, but before they can, a grotesque six-limbed tyrannosaur, codenamed Distortus Rex, emerges from the shadows. The monstrous creature lunges, killing Williams instantly, forcing personnel to abandon the island entirely. In the present day, Earth's climate has shifted drastically, rendering most regions uninhabitable for the dinosaurs that had spread across the globe between 2018 and 2022. The surviving prehistoric creatures are now confined to equatorial no-travel zones. Martin, a high-ranking executive at the pharmaceutical giant Parker Genix, approaches Zora, an ex-military covert operative, with a dangerous proposition. His company is on the verge of developing a groundbreaking heart disease medication, but they require biomaterial samples from 3 of the largest remaining prehistoric specimens, all located on a forbidden island deep within a no-go zone. Zora initially refuses, aware of the extreme danger. But when Martin offers $10 million for the mission, the life-changing sum convinces her to accept, despite the lethal risks awaiting her on the island. The duo arrives at a secluded zoo to meet with paleontologist Dr. Henry, who has been discreetly briefed on their mission. Martin lays out the plan. What they need is dinosaur blood tissue, and the samples must come from living specimens. Henry clarifies that only 3 major dinosaurs are required: the Mosasaurus, a massive marine predator lurking in the ocean, the Titanosaurus, a colossal land-dwelling herbivore, and the Quetzalcoatlus, the largest pterosaur to ever exist, ruling the skies. All 3 reside on one remote, isolated island. Martin urges Henry to join the mission, explaining that his expertise will be crucial in identifying the animals and predicting their behavior. Henry is hesitant, declining even after Zora assures him she'll personally guarantee his safety. His main concern is that the operation is illegal, but Martin presses on, dangling the rare opportunity to see dinosaurs alive in their natural habitat. After a moment of silent contemplation, Henry reluctantly agrees. The next day, the team arrives at a bar in Suriname, where Zora seeks out her longtime friend Duncan to lead the expedition. At first, Duncan refuses, saying he's no longer available for such a dangerous mission, especially since the island is too risky for his boat, unless Martin is willing to pay more. Zora convinces Martin to increase her payment so she can handle Duncan and his crew herself. With no other option, Martin agrees. Later, Bobby, one of Duncan's crew members, joins them to assist with team security. The expedition sets out by boat to Isle St. Hubert. On board are boat driver Leclerc and mercenary Nina. During the trip, Martin explains to the crew that their first objective is to track the Mosasaurus, located 150 miles from their current position, to collect its sample before heading to the island for the remaining specimens. Anticipating danger, Bobby reveals a potent neurotoxin capable of paralyzing animals within seconds, but Henry objects to its use. Instead, Henry presents specialized darts designed to extract blood samples and automatically eject once filled. Zora volunteers to take the shot for the Mosasaurus extraction. Meanwhile, 45 miles to the south, Ruben is sailing with his 2 daughters, Bella and Teresa, on a holiday trip to Cape Town before Teresa leaves for college. Ruben asks Teresa to call her boyfriend, who is also aboard, to take the wheel so he can rest. Xavier appears but complains about being tired, irritating Ruben, who tells him to go back inside rather than start an argument that would upset his daughter. Suddenly, Teresa spots something massive in the ocean. Without warning, their boat is struck. It's the Mosasaurus. The creature attacks again, violently smashing the vessel and throwing everyone into the water. Bella and Teresa scramble onto the overturned hull while Ruben swims to check on Xavier. Ruben tells him to grab the emergency radio, but before he can find it, the boat fully capsizes. Teresa and Bella cling to the wreckage, and Ruben manages to join them. Xavier finally locates the emergency bag, escapes from beneath the boat, and surfaces, only to be pursued by the Mosasaurus. He manages to outswim it, but now the group is stranded on the overturned vessel in the middle of nowhere. The next day, Duncan receives a mayday call from Ruben over the radio. Later, he tells the group about it, and despite Martin's disapproval, they decide to go help. Eventually, they locate and rescue Ruben, his daughters, and Xavier. Aboard the boat, Reuben tells the crew about the Mosasaurus that attacked them. When the crew checks the tracking map, they discover the Mosasaurus is heading straight toward them. Almost immediately, it strikes the boat. The crew scrambles to prepare their equipment while Martin tries to calm Reuben, assuring him everything will be fine. Meanwhile, Henry marvels at the creature's beauty. Zora quickly readies her dart for the extraction, and Henry helps secure her to the bow rail so she doesn't fall overboard. As she aims, the Mosasaurus dives, causing her to miss the first shot. Henry rushes to reload, but the creature attacks again, nearly knocking Zora into the water. Henry hauls her back up, and she fires the second dart, successfully extracting the required sample before it ejects. Now, they have only 2 more samples to collect. Inside, Henry tries to convince Zora not to hand the samples over to Martin's company, arguing that the corporation's excessive pricing for medicine hurts civilians. Zora refuses. Suddenly, Teresa spots a group of Spinosaurs surrounding the boat. Henry realizes they are helping the Mosasaurus hunt. Bobby immediately loads the neurotoxin gun, but his shots miss. One of the Spinosaurs ambushes him from behind, killing him instantly. The Mosasaurus attacks again, rocking the boat violently. Reuben rushes to save his daughter, who is dangling over the side and about to be taken by a Spinosaurus. Duncan turns the boat toward a rocky outcrop, hoping to outrun the Mosasaurus. The predator keeps chasing while the crew starts packing gear to abandon ship. Reuben tells Teresa to send another mayday, but Martin intervenes, shoving her away to protect the mission's secrecy. Teresa tumbles overboard and calls for help, but Martin ignores her. Xavier immediately dives in after her, and Reuben follows with Bella so the family stays together. The Mosasaurus slams into the vessel again, forcing it toward the rocks. The engine explodes. Zora and Henry throw their packed gear overboard and jump into the water. Duncan rams the burning boat into the island's rocky shore. Elsewhere on the island, Reuben reunites with Teresa and, along with Bella and Xavier, heads inland, separating from Zora's crew. Meanwhile, the rest of the team makes it ashore. As Nina tries to recover the backpack from the water, a Spinosaurus attacks, killing and dragging her away. Duncan screams her name in anguish. Reuben's group climbs to a high cliff and realizes they are stranded on a deadly island. Back at the shore, Martin explains that the island once hosted a secret lab where scientists conducted extreme genetic experiments on dinosaurs, including crossbreeding. The group gathers their supplies and begins the trek inland to collect the remaining samples. Zora informs them she has arranged for a rescue helicopter to circle the island in 24 hours as a backup plan. Elsewhere, Reuben notices a warm pipe and believes it may lead to a village. His group decides to follow it in hopes of finding help. Back with Zora's crew, they cross a small river in search of a titanosaur. During the trek, Zora confronts Martin about Teresa, demanding to know if he deliberately let her fall. Martin denies the accusation. Meanwhile, Bella spots a tiny dinosaur called an aquilip. Startled, Teresa chases it away. Reuben then praises Xavier for jumping into the water to rescue Teresa earlier. Elsewhere, Martin takes a break from the trek to fetch water from a flowing river. While there, he discovers a soldier's necklace. Looking up, he notices the hand of a dead soldier protruding from a wrecked, crashed plane. Inside the hand is a gun, which Martin quietly takes, without the rest of the crew knowing. That night, while Reuben and his kids are asleep, Xavier slips away to relieve himself. Suddenly, 2 velociraptors appear behind him, creeping closer. Just as they are about to pounce, a giant mutodon swoops down, killing both raptors. Xavier remains frozen in place until the CRE-6 Atour flies off with its kills. The next day, Zora's crew reaches an open field, where they finally spot a herd of 2 massive titanosaurs. Zora and Henry prepare to fire the dart for their second sample. The crew moves closer, admiring the creature's beauty. Henry, beaming with excitement, even touches one of the colossal dinosaurs. Zora fires the dart, successfully extracting the sample. With the titanosaur complete, they now have only one remaining, the Quetzalcoatlus. Elsewhere, Reuben and the kids continue following the warm pipe, with the small aquilip still trailing them. Bella decides to name it Dolores and vows to take it home. Suddenly, they tumble down a cliff and discover the abandoned InGen complex and a lifeboat. Teresa volunteers to swim across to retrieve it. Upon reaching the other side, she comes across the partially devoured remains of a dinosaur. A baby dinosaur jumps out but doesn't attack her. Unaware that a massive tyrannosaur is sleeping nearby, Teresa begins dragging the lifeboat back. The noise wakes the predator. The dinosaur charges toward the water, forcing the group to scramble aboard the boat. Diving under the surface, it outmaneuvers them, surfacing ahead to block their escape. With a violent smash, it flips the boat. The current sweeps Reuben toward the predator, which lunges at him underwater. Ruben narrowly escapes and swims to safety with Teresa and Xavier. Bella remains trapped under the overturned raft. Hearing her cries, the dinosaur turns to attack. It strikes the raft with brutal force, unaware that Bella has already slipped underwater. Ruben fears she's gone until she resurfaces. The dinosaur immediately lunges again, but Bella swims toward two rocks, with Ruben's help, slipping through a narrow gap too small for the predator to follow. Meanwhile, atop a mountain, Zora's crew prepares to collect their last sample. Given the Quetzalcoatl's massive size and carnivorous nature, they plan to take it from an egg instead. Zora, Henry, and Leclerc rappel down to an ancient temple on the cliffside where the nest is located, while Duncan explores a tunnel at the summit. Henry struggles with his rope on the descent, but eventually, they all reach the nest. Henry extracts the egg sample they need. There, he once again urges Zora not to give the samples to Martin's company, proposing that they use them to create affordable medicine for everyone, potentially saving millions of lives. Unbeknownst to them, a parent Quetzalcoatl returns. It attacks Henry, but he dodges. Zora distracts the creature, drawing it toward her. Leclerc throws stones to divert its attention so Henry can retrieve the fallen sample. The Quetzalcoatl shifts its focus and attacks Leclerc, forcing Duncan to pull him up as fast as possible. In the chaos, the rope entangles Henry, nearly dragging him over the cliff and knocking the sample from his grasp again. Zora grabs hold of him, keeping him from falling. Martin and Duncan continue hauling on the rope, only to realize too late that the Quetzalcoatl has already devoured Leclerc. The predator then turns its attention to Martin and Duncan atop the mountain, forcing them to retreat into the tunnel to escape its attack. Seeing the sample, Henry grabs it, but the dart immediately ejects from his hand. The rope supporting him suddenly snaps, sending him plunging into a small river below. The rest of the crew rushes to meet him, relieved he's okay, with the sample now floating right in front of him. With all samples finally secured, they decide it's time to head home. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the island, Ruben and the kids continue along the boat route, following the pipeline until they arrive at the abandoned main InGen laboratory complex. Zora's crew arrives at the opposite side of the complex as well, searching for Ruben's group so they won't be left behind. At the same time, Ruben and the kids call out for help. The two groups finally reunite. Tensions rise when Teresa angrily accuses Martin of pushing her into the ocean earlier. Martin denies it, but then pulls a gun on everyone, forcing them to hand over the box containing the samples. He cuffs the case to his wrist while they wait for the rescue helicopter Zora had called. Suddenly, the facility powers back on, and two massive Mutodon dinosaurs descend on the survivors. They scatter in panic. Ruben and his kids rush into an old supermarket, barricading the door. Henry and Duncan run into a ruined lab and lock it. Zora hides under a car with Martin, who keeps firing at the dinosaur but misses. The creature snatches him, hurling him to the ground, forcing him to hide behind the car. Inside the supermarket, Bella rushes to protect Dolores until the dinosaur crashes in through the ceiling. It lands behind her, forcing Bella to flee into a walk-in fridge. She quickly covers the fridge's light so the predator can't see her. Ruben distracts the creature, giving Bella a chance to escape through a tunnel. The dinosaur follows the sound, but misses them entirely. In the lab, Duncan discovers a tunnel map showing passages under the entire island leading to the ocean and a boat. Outside, the rescue helicopter arrives. Henry rushes out to wave them down. Meanwhile, Martin finds the key to the Jeep and speeds off, leaving Zora behind. She hides to avoid being spotted by the dinosaur. The creature hears Ruben's group moving through the tunnels and charges in. Moments later, Zora jumps in after it to save them. The helicopter starts to leave, unable to spot survivors, until Henry fires a signal flame. The pilots turn back, only for a massive Distortus Rex to ambush, devour them, and destroy the helicopter. Duncan and Henry dive into the tunnels to escape. They find Ruben's group, and Duncan explains the boat is their only chance. Zora catches up, killing a dinosaur that was about to attack them. The survivors eventually reach a locked gate with the boat visible on the other side. A dinosaur drops from above. Bella, small enough to fit, crawls through and flips the power switch just as the giant Distortus Rex arrives. Martin suddenly appears in the Jeep but is immediately attacked, giving the group time to open the gate and escape toward the boat, locking the other dinosaur behind them. The Distortus Rex devours Martin, dropping the sample case, which Zora quickly recovers. They speed toward the boat, but an alarm blares, attracting the Distortus Rex. Realizing the creature is drawn to light, Duncan ignites a flame torch, luring it away toward the riverbank. Standing at the edge, he faces the beast, buying the others time to escape. Zora keeps calling for Duncan, but hearing no reply, she assumes he's dead. The group, Zora, Henry, Ruben, Teresa, Xavier, and Bella speeds off with the samples. Out on the water, they spot a flare in the sky. Duncan is alive. They rescue him, and together they depart the island as the only survivors. Zora and Henry agree to release the new medicine as open source, ensuring it will be accessible worldwide without corporate control. The movie ends. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.